get on with this thing.
We have a lot to get to, and I'm officially recording now.
We sure do.
Yeah, wow. So, does anyone not remember what happened last time? Is the better question. It's like, it was a lot.
It was a long time ago, but it was a lot.
It was
really traumatic, and
let's see what happened. You killed Asmodeus. That was...
Yay!
And then slightly before that, Asmodeus killed Lathander.
Ooh.
Which was not so great.
That was not, no. Yeah.
It seems like most of the 9 hells collapsed in on itself, which was... That happened.
That's a
that
thing.
was the fastest chanting Baku's ever done in their life.
Shemeshka couldn't seal the deal with Vasha. I'm sure that plot point won't come back to bite anyone in the ass.
No, it definitely won't.
No. When does attempting to make a deal with the demon ever backfire?
I know, right?
I mean, she didn't, so presumably fine, right?
That's probably fine.
It's probably fine, you know. Also, Ember still has the wish scroll, which is also not fine, but whatever.
Yeah, no. Not fine at all.
Oh, y'all, things are about to get real dumb up in here.
Well, you successfully completed the teleportation circle, and you went back to the Magus Tower in Neverwinter, and you are all okay. I want to take a quick summary, specific. We talk about injuries in this game in terms of hit points, but I want to talk about it in more realistic terms at the moment. Like Ember, you fell 90 feet, so you probably have a couple broken ribs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not great.
Vasha, I think you succeeded on your dex check with the falling rock, so you probably got some splinter damage, broken rock flying past you, so you're probably covered in cuts and bruises.
Yeah.
I believe Escher is the worst off of all of you, so he is just kind of face down on the rock, And Baku, what was your big? I think you also took damage from falling rock, didn't you?
I don't recall.
I believe so. I think the only one who failed that check was Escher, which is why Escher was...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because... that's right, because I was I think that I rolled well, because I'm, looking over my notes, and I was I don't see...
Yeah. So you've all taken a beating, taken a heavy beating, and you finally collapse on the bottom of the tower, Magus Tower, and suddenly you hear, "Oh my God!" And whoever looks over first sees Mother Tremaine. She had been sitting by the wall, and she stands up and she scrambles over to you. She's like, "Oh my God, what? Oh my God, are you okay?" And she's helping Ember. She's helping you to your feet. She's trying to get Baku to sit up without falling over.
Yeah, Baku was just kind of sprawled and was Lady Tremaine, are you there? As soon as it worked.
Ember staggers to his feet, but he's not doing well. I think he's
probably doubles over on pain of rib.
Yeah,
I think Escher throws up.
Oh God, probably.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
He is in a lot of pain. She's like, hang on, I can... And she kind of rubs her hands together, and then you can see her, she's trying to cast a spell, and she, rubbing her... It's not...
No.
And she's staring at her hands for a minute, and then she looks over at you, Ember, and she's like, "Sweetheart, can..." And she doesn't seem to know how to finish that sentence.
Yeah.
I think Ember just looks up at her with dead eyes and is like, "He's gone."
What?
Lathander.
He fell against Asmodeus. And he stops talking. He's you can't process it. He's saying it, but he can't finish the sentence.
She says, I don't understand. What do you mean he fell? He's a god. He can't die."
We saw it with our own eyes, Lady Tremaine. He's gone.
You don't understand. He is a celestial being. He's a divinity, a power of this realm. His soul is immortal. It cannot die.
Baku doesn't know how to answer that. It's logically I saw this happen, but also I understand their connection. What say?
Yeah.
Ember's quiet, and he's like, "But he did.
But
he did. Fell against the sword. The sword took him. Mother, I couldn't believe... I still can't believe... Well...
But he can't. You don't understand. He's a divinity." And Escher finally looks up and he says, "Can you feel him?" And she looks down at her hands, and you realize, Ember, you first learned how to cast magic when you swore your oath of fealty to the Morning Lord, when you became a Dawnbringer. And from that moment, when you first got your magical powers, you could always feel a certain connection to Lathander. Not like it wasn't a psychic connection or anything. It didn't bring you close to him, but it was an awareness of his presence, and you can't feel that anymore. It's just gone. It's absent.
Oh dear.
It's one of those things where you didn't even think about it, and now the absence of it leaves this rending in your soul that you didn't even know was there.
Ember, I think he's like shell shocked. So I think he's just like got dead eyes and like a faraway glance, and he's looking off into the distance, and he's like, there has to be something I can do, but he's not.
Escher kind of staggers to his feet, and he sways a little bit. He's really not looking good, and he says, I can't heal, but I can use the life binder.
We should. What's next? Ember looks up at like Basha and Baku.
Baku is like, well, from what I gather, my brother is here.
You're what?
You're what?
My brother. Shall we perhaps go see what he wants?
I feel like we've got to have like a potion or something that I can give Escher. Like,
somebody's gotta have a
this
potion.
is crazy.
Escher is gonna he's gonna use the life binder.
No. We must have like a potion. Hang on.
We do have potions, but they're not going to be as effective as a healing spell.
Right.
Potions
Okay.
do like 1d4 plus 4, and he's got
Yeah.
like 30 hit points left out of 110.
Okay.
Oh no.
Let's see. I think
He
he's
got smoked.
he's not. I would say he would ask, but he's not really in the mood for asking. He's gonna burn most of his charges on mass heal. Which I think would
Fair.
bring you all up to full. Let me double check.
Okay.
A flood of healing energy flows out from you.
Nothing for me.
A flood of healing energy flows out to you to injured around you. You restore up to 700 hit points, divided as you choose among any number of creatures you can see within range. This also cures diseases and anything making them blinded and deafened. It does not remove your levels of exhaustion that you might have, or anything like that, any conditions. But he is going to go ahead and cast Mass Heal. So that brings you all up to full, which is good because Escher was going to have a hard time walking out of here.
Yeah.
He got smitten. He got smoked by them rocks.
As soon as he finishes casting, and as you are all, breathing a little bit easier and straightening and, cracking your back,
Right.
something happens.
Oh God.
There is... You can't even tell what it is. It feels like maybe someone outside dropped something and there was a big thundering rumble, but the thundering just keeps getting louder and louder and louder, and the entire tower is starting to shake, and there's this rattling noise that's pervading it must be the entire city of Neverwinter for how powerful it is. And you can see all of the mages and wizards crisscrossing the area. They all stop and they look at each other and they look around and up, and then the rattling slowly settles down again.
Oh no.
Yeah, that can't possibly be anything bad.
Ember looks really tired, and he's like, what now? And he goes and he puts like his arm around Escher and is like, let's go find out what this is.
Escher's like,
No
can
rest
we
for
go
the
home first?
Yeah. Sure. Hopefully it's not that bad. Let's just go find out.
Let's just, have some tea first and discuss what could be trying to literally rip the earth in half, probably. Who knows?
So you all head up. The teleportation circle is in the cellar level of the Mage's Tower, and Wenda Tremaine hovers nervously behind you as you all ascend the steps and you walk outside. And the streets of Neverwinter seem fine. There are a couple people who are still looking around, wondering what that strange earthquake was, but things have there haven't been any buildings that fell over or anything. Life seems to be continuing.
Not yet, anyway.
Okay, let's just go home.
As you say that, Ember, god damn it. As you say that, Ember, Escher grabs your sleeve to stop you for a moment, and he leans in and he says, what are we going to tell them? And then he points to the spires of the morning.
Oh,
After we've had a couple of days.
they're gonna figure something is wrong before then.
Well, they don't have to figure it out from us. Ember just looks exhausted. Like he's just like he's exhausted and he's also like you can also tell he's like thinking about like I don't know, like he definitely
He's
got a
thinking.
plan.
Oh god.
The wheels in his head are turning? What?
He looks distracted.
Right.
That's not good.
Oh no, that is not good at all.
He puts his arm around Escher and he's like, "Let's go home, babe."
And Escher, you can tell that Escher kind of has the instinct to go and talk to someone, but he's also so tired. And Mama Tremaine looks like she wants to just mother you to death. Just mother all of you right to death. There's a little carriage waiting outside the Mage's Tower, and she piles you all into it, and she climbs onto the front of it with the two horses that you recognize from your stable, Ember. And she begins the long road. It's about like a day and a half to the Tremaine estate. Is there anything y'all wants to do on that day and a half?
So do we stop at all during that time, like to sleep or anything like that?
Well, she set it up so that it's like a covered carriage. And she brought a couple pillows and blankets and stuff, so you could sleep in the carriage if you wanted to. She would stop,
Okay.
to if you were particularly
Change
gross,
horses or things. Or...
change clothes, wash
Yeah,
your face.
but we're
that
not like
kind of thing.
we're not like camping or anything like that.
No, she doesn't want to make you camp, especially after she saw the state of you.
Right. After she's like,
yeah.
"Oh, God."
Okay, I think Ember just doesn't sleep, like straight up.
Mm.
I think Escher sleeps, but only because he is bone deep exhausted. And it's probably like he has trouble falling asleep, but then once he is asleep, he falls asleep for 12 hours.
Oh, dear.
baby.
Oh, is he like asleep on my chest? Can he be like on my shoulder?
Oh.
I don't think Escher's that cute. He probably like fell asleep like on your kneecap or something. Like it's not a
Right,
sexy
like-
location. Like he's drooling a little.
Right. She's got like a foot in your face.
Even better. Yeah. So Ember's not sleeping at all, and he just spends the entire time staring straight ahead. He doesn't respond to he only responds in like monosyllables.
Good to know you're
Yep.
all handling it well.
Vasha finds that extraordinarily concerning and does try to pull you out of your shell a little bit. But
How is Vasha
kinda
doing?
not great. Not great.
Not great.
Not great.
Yeah.
Elves
Elves don't have to sleep, so that's nice for you.
Is it? Is it really?
No, mental health is real. It's a thing. No matter what race you are, you still got it. Take
That
care of it.
sounds like fake news. Vasha, make a quick perception check for me.
Okie dokie.
Just you, my sweet elf.
Sweet. Where's my
It's like
thing?
since you're just awake and alive and attuned to everything in the universe.
I
you
see,
should
that's pretty
definitely,
good.
Like slap Ember and be like, "Wake up! Snap out of it!"
About
Oh, 18.
on a not particularly interesting section of the ride, after I imagine unsuccessfully trying to get Ember to talk about anything, eventually you kind of give up and you stick your head out the back of the cart and you just look out at the road. I imagine it would bring Vasha some comfort to see familiar woods again after
See trees?
to see
trees,
trees and
yeah.
sky, yeah. And not just
Things
trees
that
and
aren't
sky,
poison.
but familiar trees and sky. Like these are your stomping grounds. You know these lands.
Yeah.
And as you are looking past them, you see something flash in the woods just briefly. It's golden and white.
Okay.
It looks quadrupedal, but with an 18, that is all you can get.
Okay.
You gonna tell anybody about that?
It could very easily be a deer.
A golden
Mhm.
deer, yeah.
So it's up to you if you want to tell anyone. I'm just your DM. I can't tell you what you do.
I can't tell you what to do.
Well, who's awake when I see it?
Ember's
Baku's
not
definitely
sleeping. So
awake.
Ember's awake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baku's been muttering to themselves in Draconic this whole time and just like talking to people in like whoever's awake. It's like, I can't believe that I'm not actually a green dragon, you guys. Like people aren't listening, but they're still just talking to fill up the silence that they can't deal with.
Hey, guys,
Yes.
I just saw something. I don't know. It's a little odd. I just explain what I saw.
Escher's still asleep.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Baku,
Ember
like,
looks
sort
at
of
you,
looks
and he's very
Ember.
tired, and he's got like bags under his eyes. He doesn't look good. And he's like,
Looks great.
You saw a deer?
Baku like
But it,
sort
like-
of looks at Ember like it. You know, it could be a deer. It could be something else. You know, they didn't really see it.
Like what?
I don't know. Maybe
We
somebody
just
else
came
could
back from
try
hell.
looking
It could
out.
be anything.
It could be literally
It's,
anything.
it's worth mentioning that the carriage has not stopped in the time that you looked out. So you are now a good
Yeah.
50, 60
Right,
yards
exactly.
away from where you saw it.
Okay.
Baku's like, yeah, logically it could be nothing, but it also could be something, you know, probably unrelated to the giant shaking that we felt earlier. It's fine. Everything's fine. We're okay.
All right. Anything else you guys want to do on this trip?
Apparently not.
Yeah, I think
don't
no.
know.
Yeah, I don't think, like I said, I don't think Ember's doing anything aside from like he's thinking really hard and he's not sleeping and he's very cranky, crankier than normal.
All right. So you
You
all
need a Snickers.
you
You're not
all
yourself
pass through the gates outside the Tremaine estate, and as you do, Baku, you hear a familiar voice. Hey, hey! But the carriage doesn't stop, and you can hear Lady Tremaine up in the front says, "Not now." It says, "Hey, I've been waiting for them. Wait, stop!" But Lady Tremaine kind of snaps the reins and urges the horses a little faster, like she really does not want to put up with this bullshit right now.
Baku sort of snickers and is like, good call, Lady Tremaine, good call.
Mama Train is so rad. She's my favorite.
It's true.
So when the carriage finally stops, she opens the back little flaps for the door. It doesn't have like real doors; it's just canvas. And she pulls the flaps open and she smiles tiredly. Like you can tell that she's also probably a little bit concerned about the sudden absence of the connection to Lathander that she had.
Yeah.
But she says, "Welcome home," and she helps you all out. And Baku, as you get out, you look toward the gate, and you can see your brother Rugen standing by the gate, and he is smoldering in anger.
Baku's like, oh, fantastic. My favorite brother. Of course it would be Rugen. Hello.
He is about 100 yards from you, so he can't hear you.
That's good because Baku was just like, oh, okay, here we go. Younger sibling. Like, they're just like, they were preparing for this moment like the whole time. And the fact that like Rugen is like smoldering in anger just makes them just want to break out in a grin. Like, oh, what have you been doing? Well, we've been
Mimi, what
saving-
the fuck are you
you've been
doing?
waiting. Oh, no.
off the counter, you little asshole. Mimi.
Little shithead.
She is such a little shithead. Sorry. Can you
Yeah.
repeat like the last half sentence?
Oh, just basically they're just seeing their brother being like really pissed, and the fact that they had to that he had to wait for them just like brings them such delight, and they're trying not to like smile as they, you know, walk towards them like, oh my, I'm so shocked to see you here.
So yeah, they're about 100 yards away. Do you actually want to talk to Rugen, or do you? Mama Tremaine seems intent on like hurting you all inside. Like she wants you to get a real night's sleep on a real bed and have a big meal and a bath, probably.
Yeah, we probably don't smell great.
Yeah, you don't.
Everybody
smell
else can go in, but Baku knows their brother and knows that he ain't gonna wait, so they're gonna approach him and be like, oh, fancy seeing you here.
When Mama Tremaine sees that, she stops. Like she grabs Ember and Vasha, and she's like, "Wait."
Yes. By
Like
the
you
way,
can tell that Mama Tremaine does not trust Rugen.
oh.
Oh.
Shocking.
Ember's like picked Escher up like he's in his arms.
Escher's like, "I'm awake." You know, I'm awake. Like
He
I've
looks
been
like-
awake for like 5 hours now.
Oh, okay. He puts him down.
Baku's gonna do that, like,
Aw.
you know, waving while running, like, hail, brother! So nice to see you. Obviously, be like laying it on really thick.
So you haven't seen Rugen in how long would it have been now?
Gods, it would have been at least 10, 15 years? A long time.
So describe to us briefly what Rugen looks like.
Okay, so Baku has at least 2 brothers that are older. Rugen is the one that they absolutely hate, the one who's the most racist. Yeah, so Rugen has a spear, and he's proficient in spears. He would be probably a
Let's talk
like
comparative size. Like
yeah, I was thinking
Baku's
about
pretty
size, and
big,
I was like,
but I imagine most Dragonborn are probably bigger than the average human.
yeah, I
or
feel
whatever.
like particularly in Baku's immediate family, like they're just really beefy big boys. So
The
like
giant
yeah,
boys.
right. So Rugen is probably like a little bit taller, just so you know the privilege of the older brother, like literally looking down at the younger sibling.
Yeah, taller, and I imagine probably wider, like broader. Than
Yeah,
Baku by
much more because like
half
their
again is broad.
clan is very specific on weaponry. So Baku's the only one that doesn't have any proficiency in weapons. So
Oh God.
very beefy weapon. Like he's got the spear, and he's probably been like tapping it impatiently on the ground the whole time.
And I think that's what he is doing as he sees you approach. And the moment you are within earshot, he says, "We have to go now."
Baku's like, "Oh, but I just got back from a lovely vacation in hell, you see."
He says, "We have to go, Baku, now."
Baku like drops the act and is like, "Perhaps you don't understand what we've been through."
I don't care what you've been through. We have to go.
Is anybody watching this?
Yes. Yeah.
It would be
We're all
very.
watching
They are about 100 yards away, so it would be kind of difficult to hear exactly what they're saying. But you can definitely tell that Rugen is being quite hostile.
Right, exactly. That's
So like Ember's gonna watch carefully, and like if he makes a hostile move, he's gonna head over there. But for right now, he's just like he respects your space.
right.
He's also actually wait, can I like he's definitely asking like Mama Tremaine. He's like, what's the deal?
Lady Tremaine will explain to you briefly.
Yeah.
Rugen showed up about a week ago, demanding to see Baku. Apparently he said something about their mother being in very serious and imminent danger, and he needed Baku's help because Baku was the only one who could cast magic in the family.
Right. And then Baku was like, "Of course, that's you only call me when you need me for something that you can't do yourself." So they were like,
yeah,
"I'm busy."
She briefly explains that she reached out via the message cantrip to contact Baku and let them know what was happening and what their brother was saying. And when she basically turned him away, Rugen made camp literally just outside the Tremaine estate, and was like decided to wait for Baku.
Okay, so Ember's like, thank you, and he's on alert, like he's like
Right,
looking.
he's on alert. Yeah. So
Yeah.
like now Baku is very serious.
Escher nudges you, Vasha, and he says, "You might want to knock an arrow."
Yeah, just
Yeah.
right, exactly. So now Baku is like, dropping dropping the act and is like, "I realize that in your mind, Sweet Rugan, like they're speaking Draconic now. Like they just immediately switch. Like nobody else is gonna understand. That nothing else is more important than the clan, but we just defeated a god and had the god of the people I work for have been defeated. There are more important things that I need to deal with. I'm not going anywhere."
Rugen's nostrils flare, and he says, "You always were the storyteller of the family."
Baku's like, "And what is that supposed to mean? Don't you have a story for me? What is this supposed danger that our mother is in?"
3 weeks ago, she went missing. I managed to track her trail, but we came to a dead end. There's some sort of magic over the mouth of a cave, and we need you to get rid of it. Now.
Of course you need me because you can't do it yourself, but you're so strong.
He smolders. He says, "Are you gonna come or not? Have you gotten soft with these humans?"
Baku, tries to keep calm. They've had an entire lifetime on this bullshit, right? So it's like, yes, perhaps I have gotten a little soft, but I feel a little bit like saving other races and the world as we know it takes precedence right now.
And she says, "And what about your mother? Does she not take precedence?"
Baku knew that that he was going to say that, and just kind of like inhales and is like, "She is important to me. However, I cannot put her above all life. That's not fair to the world."
Rugen snarls and she says, "You have a day. We need to do this. We've wasted enough time."
Baku just sort of sighs and says, "Well, if you would like to present your case to the rest of my party, that's fine."
I already told your shiny golden lady.
Golden lady.
I don't expect anything different from any other human. They're all the same. You ought to know that by now.
Not a human.
Baku is like, oh, but you noticed that there's one that's not a human. There's a pointy-eared one. Points to Vasha and like waves at them. Like, hey!
You know what I mean. The soft
We're all
skins.
just like quizzically looking at this.
Oh
kid,
yes,
like,
oh yes, the soft skins. Yes, of course I do. Baku is like, if it's really that important, I suppose I could bring it up with them. However, we are a little bit. They're like really stressing that, like a little bit beaten up, tired, in need of a long rest right now.
Did literally just kill the king of hell.
I know, right?
Rugen repeats a day, and then he stalks back to where he had set up. There's like a little tent right outside the gate, and he is like scowling, and he just sinks underneath the tent, and he's mumbling to himself in Draconic.
Baku, just like rolls their eyes and goes back and is like, friends, hello friends, like back in common, like, let's go inside and have a cup of tea, shall we?
And talk about that, maybe?
And talk about that. Yes, that was my brother.
Mama Tremaine is like shooting like daggers at Rugen as she kind of all ferries you toward the doors of the doors into the foyer of the Tremaine estate are standing open, and she says, we can talk about it over dinner. Right now, what's important is I want all of you to get... And right as you walk through the familiar double doors leading into the foyer of the Tremaine estate, something happens. When you reach the other side of those double doors, you're not in the Tremaine foyer. You're somewhere else.
Oh my god.
There's no visible ceiling or walls, just infinite grayness in all directions. You're standing in front of a massive round table, which must be at least 100 feet across, and standing around said table are an assortment of faces. Some are towering, some are human-sized, some are animal, some are demonic, and you realize they are all gods, and they are all staring at you. And high above, there's a face in the sky, wizened, bearded, omnipresent, with fathomlessly deep eyes, locked on you where you stand. And I would like all of you to make either a perception or arcana perception or religion check, whichever one is better.
Damn, okay.
Oh god.
Nat one!
Terrible.
Oh.
Religion and perception are the same, so...
I'm having a bad religion day, so it makes sense.
I can't feel my god anymore.
Right, exactly. I was like, they're both the same, so let's just... Nice.
Man, y'all can't roll for shit today.
Hey, this is why we're
Apparently
Crypto
not.
Club.
Ember looks around, he's like, what in holy hell's name is this?
Yeah, with those shitty rolls, you don't recognize any of the faces, especially, except for one. Off in to the side, sort of behind a bunch of other figures, is Balzable.
Oh.
Ah.
He is
Okay.
kind of difficult to not notice, being
Yeah.
giant and a slug.
And a slug.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, gross, that guy.
Ember like half raises his hammer and salute.
Asher's like, don't salute him, he's a demon.
He helped us defeat him. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
And just as you are all starting to mumble to yourself, like, hey, where the fuck are we? What's going on? You hear a voice say, approach.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't have him.
Baku is just like, jumps, and like this giant dragon is like, holy shit, what?
You realize it is the face in the sky that spoke, and he is staring at you and beckoning you to approach. And the creatures that are between you and that table, they all sort of part and make room for you to advance.
Okay.
Ember, like, he doesn't even look at you guys. He just, like, wearily trudges forward.
Yeah.
Right.
Vasha did jump like a foot in the air.
Yeah.
So as you
Yeah.
approach the table, you realize that it's not a table. It's the walls of a pit, and it's so deep that from your initial angle of approach, you couldn't tell it wasn't a flat surface. But now that you're close enough, you can see straight down, and at the end of what must be a 100-foot drop is a familiar figure. He's shackled, doubled over into forced contrition. It's Asmodeus. Battle-scarred, singed with radiance, head down.
Ah.
Ember gets furious. Like, he suddenly, like, looks up and he's like takes a step back and he's like, what is that creature doing here? Alive.
The face above you says, divinities cannot be dead, Ember.
I would beg to fucking differ.
Ooh, damn.
Ember,
you are getting a bit of a reaction from the gods that are lined up around you. They're all sort of mumbling to themselves, like they can't believe you just said that. I'm gonna have Escher actually. I'm gonna have Escher roll religion. Actually, he didn't roll religion, so I'm gonna see what if he knows anything. Oh, he's got a +10 to perception. He's a very good perception.
Oh, yeah.
That's more like it.
Oh.
Yes.
As Escher approaches, he goes a little bit white. And he looks up at the face in the sky, and he grabs you, Ember, very urgently, and he like shakes his head like don't antagonize him.
Like, don't do the thing, babe. Shut up.
And like Ember shakes him all like he's furious. And,
God.
and he looks up and he goes, "If gods cannot die, where is Lathander?"
The face doesn't answer for a spell. He's still looking at you, and he says, "In time, he will be reborn, as all souls of divinities must come back from death."
It'd be really helpful if it were.
Ember,
Sorry,
Ember
go
like
on.
takes a step back, and I think he's like looking. I think he maybe is starting to realize that this is a bad place to be.
The figure, the head over the pit, says, "You have been called here for testimony. I urge you to answer the questions put to you, wholly and truly, or else you place your very existence at stake. Do you understand?"
Yes,
Baku,
sir.
who never tells lies anyway, is like, yeah, sure, okay.
Ember
Sorry, Ember.
Ember
Go
comes
ahead.
back to being tired, and he just goes, "Yes."
The figure says, "Do you recognize this being?" And then he looks down at Asmodeus in the pit.
Vividly.
Yes.
Yes.
"Describe why you ventured down to slay him."
He threatened the planar existence. He was threatening balance of life itself.
How?
He had.
He waged war upon the celestial heavens. He
Thank
brought
you.
all of his demons to fight.
He wanted more power, and in doing so, upset the balance between.
He ate souls with his sword. I don't really know what else I can tell you here.
The faces are the figures around you are all starting to mumble again, and they're looking at they're urgently whispering at each other. The face turns its eyes back down to Asmodeus, and you see Asmodeus. He has an enormous metal shackle around his neck. And he lifts his head and he stares just vengefully up at the face in the sky. And the sky face looks back down at you, and he says, "Do you swear on the threads that sustain your fragile existences that the testimony you've given today is true?"
I do.
Yes.
I swear by Lathander's.
Name?
Oh god, he just like stops and looks ashen.
Oh,
And then there's another earthquake.
boy.
Same as the first, it starts off slow and low, and then it slowly gets louder and louder. This rumbling that pervades the whole realm. You do not think this is an actual room. You're sure it must be some sort of realm, and you can see, as it happens, the face in the sky. His eyes get darker, and he turns his gaze down to Asmodeus, and he says, "Asmodeus, you have overstepped your bounds. My only commandment to the divinities of Toril was to maintain the balance of the planes, and you conspired to violate this commandment egregiously. Your actions seriously damaged many of the outer realms. Your conquest threatened to send Sigil falling from the spire and destroy the planar system. These actions cannot go unpunished, and so I will render my judgment. Asmodeus, I strip you of your divinity and of your lordship over the 9 hells, and I end your existence." Asmodeus starts to scream. You watch as he is unmade, and the process is unknowable to your eyes, even as it happens right before you. Nothingness swallows him up as though it was fire. And where once was Asmodeus, there is nothing.
Okay.
Yike.
Yikes, yeah.
The face,
Ember looks at it and says, "Good riddance," and turns away.
Okay.
We were not dismissed yet. Turn back around.
Yeah, exactly.
The face in the sky returns his eyes to the surrounding crowd, and they finally land on Balzabul. And he says, "Step forward, Slug Lord." And Balzabul sort of slugs his way up toward the edge of the pit. "The 9 hells cannot be without a master." And then there's a sort of a subtle shift of magic. And you don't know exactly what's happened, but based on context clues, you think that Balzabul may have just been elevated to divine.
Wow.
Oh my.
He's still a slug.
He is still a slug, yes.
He's a divine slug now, yay! That's gross.
And that is all that happens as the other divinities are starting to mutter to themselves, and they sort of either back away into the grayness and disappear, or they just vanish immediately where they stand. Some disappear more quickly than others. Balzabul seems to linger, and he kind of gives all of you just the worst smile.
Yeah.
Like he knows that you are partially to thank for his new
Right.
divinity.
Of course.
Yeah.
So wait, we're still in the room, right? Is the
Yes,
big face
You are
creature
still present. You're all still present.
Okay. I think so. Ember turns back and he goes, "Wait, if you can strip Asmodeus of his divinity and give it to Beelzebub, can you bring Lathander back?"
He already said that he'll be reborn.
Yeah, but now I don't want him eventually. I want it now.
Your impatience speaks to your character, Ember Tremaine. Know that your god will be reborn, as all divinities are reborn. His soul cannot be slain.
What happens to all of his acolytes in the meantime? What happens to the people who rely on Lathander and his goodwill? What would you have us do?
I would have you wait.
That sounds like a good plan. All right, let's go now, everyone. If we may take our leave.
Ember's like fighting back words. But
Yeah,
he's like
Vasha is really concerned about like what if there's time, but they are not gonna speak up. They're a little terrified.
Ooh, here's a question. Baku like sort of steps forward and is like, if I may, what happens if in the absence of Lathander, something else rises to challenge us, the world, the planar system? What would we do?
The face doesn't answer immediately. His deep eyes are kind of staring at you, Baku. And eventually he says, "The divinities of Toril exist to prevent such a calamity."
Oh, okay.
well, you didn't do a great job last time.
Shut up.
He says, "Now that Asmodeus has been vanquished, the balance will slowly be restored. The alignment has returned to its natural shape. The planar system will rebalance and rebuild."
Anybody else want to ask something?
Yeah, hang on, I can't remember the name of the thing.
The goth.
Nagath, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, who knows that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I do, but I'm not gonna say it in character because Ember doesn't.
Yeah, no. But Vasha does, right? By this point?
Yeah.
Vasha certainly knows the name in Goth by now, yes.
Yeah.
You've all heard the name in Goth by this point.
Yeah. We've seen signs that Ningath is coming.
He has no discernible reaction to that name, Vasha.
Yeah. Wasn't expecting it, but
And as you stare up at him and like he doesn't answer, and you get the feeling that even if he could answer, like communicating with you in a way that you could understand is like a deliberate act for him.
yeah.
And so you're staring up at his eyes, and then you feel something against your shoulder, Vasha,
Oh,
from behind.
I turn around.
You turn around, and what you see is a unicorn.
Oh.
What?
It is white with a long golden mane and horn, feathery golden fur around its hooves, and the unicorn says to you, "It's best not to test his patience."
Understood.
She kind of nods her head as if gesturing all of you to follow her back.
Okay, I follow.
Baku's just like, oh my god, a unicorn! And is trying to like keep it chill.
Yeah, no, it's probably not just a unicorn. There's like a unicorn goddess. So like,
So Baku's like, yes, of course, following you.
uh-huh.
Escher follows as well, mostly
Come on,
because
Ember.
he looks too scared to stare at the face in the sky anymore.
Right, it's like, let's not stare at the face in the sky.
She says, to you, specifically, Vasha, she says, do you know who I am?
I do, my lady.
She says, I have long been a friend to the Morning Lord. And she continues, when I felt his sudden absence, I was full of fear. Did you see what happened to him?
Yeah. Yeah. I wish we hadn't, but yes, we did.
She kind of looks at you, like, expectantly, like, well,
Oh God.
Like,
I
yeah,
have to
so
describe
tell me.
this. Oh God.
She is walking you back, and you didn't remember coming through a large door, but there is a door in front of you that she is guiding you towards. But
Yeah.
she stops short of actually taking you through the door.
He fell to the sword, the jagged sword. It's a terrible, terrible artifact. It seemed to devour him.
A look of concern passes over her face, and she says, I see. I have never heard of a jagged sword that can devour the souls of a god, but there are many sages and scholars across this land who may. I would recommend that you find one of them.
Oh, out of character here. We still have the sword? Do we take it? We took it back with us.
You
You
have
had it.
you have it. Yes, it is not on your person because carrying
Yeah.
more than one. It's
Yes.
probably in like the carriage or something.
Okay. Sorry, I just want to make sure that
Yeah,
we.
that's fine.
Baku hears the word like sages and scholars and is like, oh.
She says,
Ember's been intrigued at this point, and he's like saddled his way up, and he's still really angry. But he's like, "Do you think could we bring Lathander back?"
if the Overgod says that he will return, then I have faith that he will return. The souls of the divine cannot be killed. At best, they can be discorporated for a short time.
How short?
Baku's like, or we could all be patient.
Ember,
Looks pointedly
hey.
at Ember.
She kind of laughs, and she approaches you, actually, Ember, and she kind of nudges her head into your shoulder, and she says, do not despair, Dawnbringer. I know that the sudden absence of your god is frightening, but he will return to you. And she says, he sent you on a most harrowing quest, and I am sure that if he were here now, he would be very proud of what you've managed to do.
Ember has the grace to look flattered and slightly comforted.
Let's go ahead, Vasha.
My lady, do you know of anything? We believe this sword and other artifacts we have are part of something called the Shards of Anvatar.
She
Do you
does
know
not.
anything about
She does not have any discernible reaction to that name. No.
that? Okay.
She says, there are those who are much wiser in magic than I am. Do not take my ignorance as a bad omen.
No, of course not.
She says, in the absence of any reward that Lathander cannot give you at this moment, I feel as though it is my duty to thank you for all that you've done, for all the sacrifices you've made, and to give you your reward. And her horn glows slightly with golden light. And as it does, Ember, your strength, Vasha, your dexterity, Baku, your charisma, and Escher's wisdom are all at 22.
Whoa!
Baby!
She says, you were called upon to do the impossible, and you have succeeded. Know that the pride of all goodwill goes with you.
Ember looks at her
Baku,
and
like
says,
bows and is
Yeah.
like, thank you, my
Yeah.
lady.
You
Yeah,
don't,
I
even,
think
you don't even know her name.
Right, exactly. Baku don't
I
even
do.
know.
Player doesn't, but I do.
"Yeah." Ember looks at her and says, "Thank you, my lady. Your words are, I will take heart with them. Thank you for the gift."
She smiles, or as much as a unicorn can smile, and she gestures her head back toward the door.
Yeah.
Get out.
Right, we should go now.
Politely.
So you head back out through the door, and you hear, straight to a bath. I'll have one drawn up for you. And you see Lady Tremaine breeze past you, and she's, wiping the travel dust from the sleeves of her robe. And she heads up to the stairs. And
Ember stops, and he goes, "Who's the Overlord?"
Overgod is what you heard.
Overgod.
Escher, who finally works up the nerve to speak, he says, "He is the god of gods."
Cool.
Ember looks ashen, and he goes, "Oh."
Yeah, his name is Ao, he says.
Yeah, we heard that name dropped in the battle.
Yes.
You sure did. That was very good. That was a very good catch.
Thank you.
We sure did.
So Mama Tremaine is already heading up the stairs. And yeah, Asher's like, he's the overgod, and like I could I'm not gonna bore you with a whole history lesson on Ao. Fascinating, I will say, fascinating. Like Google him like later tonight just to look him up.
Baku's like, yeah. Education, learning, yeah.
Learning. And so it looks as though the moment you step through, no time has passed, and no one noticed that you were even gone. And maybe it was a weird fever dream. You don't know.
Like, we're all high at the
But
same
now we all
time.
feel very, very appropriately dexterous or strong.
Yeah, I feel like I could do several backflips in a row.
And then
Stealthily.
Vasha,
Oh, God.
you realize on the other side of the foyer, coming down the steps as Mother Tremaine is going up, is Davin.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Baku also sort of stops and like looks at Dave and looks at Vasha.
Yeah, my grip tightens on my bow.
Escher like preemptively grabs your elbow, like to keep you from running at him.
Like, no.
Yeah, I think Ember steps in front of you, and he goes, "Wait till the morning. Wait till the morning, at least after we've all had a good night of sleep. I'll help you beat him up in the morning."
Does he say that out loud in front
I'll
of
hold
David?
him, you punch.
Yeah.
My eyes narrow. I really do not like this at all, but I do relax my bow hand just like forcibly.
So Ember turns around and he looks at David and he goes, "We'll talk in the morning. Get out of here."
Davin seems
Oh.
confused. He's like, is everything okay? You guys look like shit.
Yeah, we just came back from hell and we learned some disturbing information. Trust me when I say you don't want to be here right now.
Yeah, I'm glaring daggers at him.
Davin looks very nervous. He says, okay, if you say so. And he kind of nervously inches away.
Like a little weasel. Ember turns back to Vasha and he goes, "Are you going to be okay until the morning?"
Ah,
I would like Vasha and I'm gonna say Escher to roll insight.
okay.
And he's got a plus 11 to insight now.
Oh.
Escher stares directly into your soul. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh my fucking god.
Literally, Escher stares directly into the soul.
Yeah, I mean, it
Oh,
doesn't matter
David
what the hell
Tremaine.
I roll.
So just as you say, do you think, wait until the morning, Escher says, I think he's not going to be here in the morning.
You think he's gonna run?
Escher nods.
It's cool, I don't sleep.
Hey Tessa, so we have a cell in the Tremaine house, right?
A cell? Like a jail?
Like
Put
in
your brother in jail.
Like
I'm
it's,
sure there's like a root cellar.
Come on, we got something we can lock this guy in. My brother, who I love.
well, let me be the first. It's not a castle. Like it's not. You don't have a dungeon. There's probably a root cell. Like there are places you could lock Davin. Yes, if you really wanted to. He would have a couple questions.
Well, he's not gonna have a lot. We won't answer the questions. Ember looks at Escher and he goes, "Babe, are you sure?"
Escher nods again.
Great.
He rolled a
Ember,
30 on his insight. He
I
he
know, right?
saw
He's
it
like, I
directly
know.
into his
Ember
soul.
doesn't know that. Ember just knows that his
Yeah.
fiance said that he's gonna run. He just wants to check before he goes accosting his brother. So
Baku's
okay, so
like,
after he
"Ooh."
says yes, he like looks me in the eye and he goes, okay. And he strides off after him. And I
Oh god.
catch him.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, he hadn't gotten that far. He was only like a room and a half away.
Sweet. I literally pick him up. Like
You're gonna have to roll strength for that, maybe? I don't know.
No, you've got a. Well, I mean, now that you've got a strength of 22, this would
that's
probably
true, yeah.
be a strength contest.
It's like a sack of potatoes.
So Daven has a. What's Daven's strength mod? It's been a while since I've had to look at his character sheet. He has a strength mod of
Throw him
+2.
in with the racist brother of mine. That'd be great fun.
All right, so let's roll a strength contest because he does not want to be picked up, especially.
is it just a
Okay,
straight?
what are you doing?
Yeah, it's strength plus your strength mod. Oh no,
God.
Ember, you can't roll with the good goddamn.
Oh man.
You grab him and Daven whirls around. He's like, "What are you doing?"
Great.
Can I punch him?
Can I roll to
punch
clock him? Yeah, I was gonna say because I'm just gonna clock him.
Clock him. You're going to roll to hit. He's not armored, so his AC would be 10 plus whatever his Dex mod is, which is 1. So you're trying to hit 11, and this is an unarmed strike. Let me look up unarmed strike. Unarmed strike 5e. Okay, unarmed strike. Punch, kick, headbutt, or similar forceful blow.
Oh my god, please headbutt him.
I definitely am gonna try to headbutt him because that's way cooler.
All right,
Baku
You
so
do have the hardest head around.
Right.
okay, so it
Eating
looks like
imaginary popcorn.
it is the roll to hit is 1 plus your strength mod, and
Okay.
then that is also the damage, 1 plus your strength mod.
Okay.
And you were trying to beat an 11, but yep, that beats an 11. So he takes 7 damage and
Oh,
abruptly loses consciousness.
Great. I'm gonna sling him over my shoulder and
So.
I hope,
So
Lady
for
Tremaine don't do
context, what you saw, Vasha and Baku, you saw Ember's like, hold on, and then he like leaves, and you hear, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then, and then Ember reappears with Daven slung over his
with
shoulder.
David's like lifeless body, and everyone's like,
Escher's like nodding, like, that's my boy, that's my hubby.
future hubby indeed.
I think he's like dragging him too. He's not like slung over his shoulder. He's like got him by his like collar and is just dragging him on the floor.
Oh, that's adorable.
And
Wow.
he's like, "I'll get the door for you, babe," and he like, and he heads over and he holds the door open to the root cellar.
Thank you, hon. You're so gentleman. He tosses him down the root cellar and locks, and locks the door.
You can hear like the sound of.
Do I have to worry? Do I have to worry about him dying? Is that something I should be concerned about?
He is a level 5 ranger. So he's got some hit points, and that's like a 10-foot fall. I guess I should give him. So he loses another 2 hit points as he falls down the stairs. He's perfectly like he's strong on his own. So he's not a level 15 paladin. But he's
Right.
fine. So you are confident that he's probably still alive.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, Lady Tremaine is like, what? happened to us?
Escher grabs a chair by the wall and he nudges it under the handle. And then Escher goes over to Vasha and he looks at you earnestly, Vasha, and he says, "You gonna be all right?"
All right is kind of relative given what we've been through in the last, few months.
Escher hugs you.
Oh.
I cling. I've needed a hug.
Baku's like, no, wait a minute, and like hugs both of them.
No, group hug. Ember, get in on this group hug.
Okay, Amber's
there.
So you were all sort of clinging to each other, and Baku, do you remember the vision I gave you all those years ago?
Yeah.
Where you were all clinging to each other on a field of victory, exhausted
Oh no.
but triumphant.
I do.
You realize this is that moment.
And you're like,
You were all
hey,
clinging
guys,
to
I
each
had a
other.
vision of this. That's cool.
And I feel like I don't know about I don't want to speak for your characters, but for Escher, I think this is the moment it all really hits him. Like, you guys just spent like a month in hell.
Mm-hmm.
And you watched your 2 gods die, one of which you worship. And it all just sort of hits him at once, and he hugs you tighter, and he's doing his absolute best to not have a breakdown.
Yeah. I've gone all of a sudden from being the pillar of this, or from being the subject of this hug, to being like, oh god, I have to comfort him before he breaks down.
From the
Yeah.
top of the stairs, you hear Lady Tremaine. "Boys and Vasha and Baku?"
I glance up.
It's the running joke now. Da, 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 da.
Baku like steps out of the hug and is like, yes, of course.
She says, the servants are drawing up a bath.
That sounds really nice.
Oh,
excellent.
good.
Mom, please don't open the root cellar. I'll tell you
Midway
why.
through your speech, you feel another earthquake.
Oh, God.
It comes all at once, and it gets very, very powerful, and then it slowly fades away again.
Can we roll anything?
I was like, can anybody roll?
Yeah, like perception roll or something to figure out what the hell that is. If that's
Perception
just
would
the
be
normal nature.
Yeah, I'd allow you to roll nature if you'd like. I guess also maybe Arcana.
My nature is laughable, but
as we learned last time. The ranger has a
Arcana
shitty
is
nature
better.
score.
Yeah, because I also want to roll, but what are we rolling?
You can either roll nature or Arcana, I guess.
Okay, Baku's gonna do Arcana because
Woof!
yeah, me too.
sucks.
Woof, my boy,
Nice.
my very
Ooh,
favorite
woo!
elf, my very favorite elf child. Oh
Yeah.
God! A 23
Thank
followed by a
Arcana,
26.
thank you.
Like Baku's like, yeah, don't worry, I got this. Baku, there was nothing in these earthquakes to tell you that it is outright a magical occurrence, but you strongly suspect because of everything that's happened that it probably is. But you also know that an earthquake will usually be followed by aftershocks. So it's not strange that you would feel 2 or 3 up to 7 or 10 in a row.
Does this one feel more than the first one or less?
It's not enough of a difference for you to notice.
Okay.
Baku is still suspicious. Like, it could be nothing, you guys, but it could also be thing depending on, what gods you've defeated recently or not.
Yeah.
From the top of the stairs, Lady Tremaine says, "Do you know what that is?"
Specifically, no.
Not yet.
But
She comes down the stairs and she says, "Look, I'm sorry I asked. I don't want you to worry about this right now. You all deserve one good night."
Yep. One. Just one.
It's the least I can do.
Ember looks at you and goes, I'm not getting my spell slots back anyways, so there's no point in me going to bed.
no, honey, yes, there is.
Escher's like,
Exhaustion is a thing.
Escher's like, there is a point, yes. So to be clear, I did not plan the second half of this session because there is so much to resolve.
Right?
With
Yeah.
characters and shit. There's Vasha and David. There's the engagement that Escher and Ember haven't told their mother
Oh,
about.
yeah, there's that.
There's Rugen. There's Rugen still outside.
Explaining
I
to
know.
Lady Tremaine why David is in the basement.
Oh god, no one needs to tell her that. It's okay.
I told her not to open the cellar. It's fine.
So I would like to get to all of them. I don't particularly care what order, unless one of you cares what order. Unless you want to do a specific thing first.
Oh.
I really want that bath.
Yeah, I was like, we should, bathe.
Alright.
Like, Vasha has not had hot water in ages, and they're usually a little crunchy, but they're not this crunchy.
Most
Like,
of
listen, I've been out
what
in the
is
woods,
ground
but-
under their fingernails is not dirt.
Oh god.
Thanks for that mental image.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.
They feel
Right,
even
like,
dirtier
you
now.
are like Aragorn squared, like level of greasy and gross.
So you all head upstairs. I'm trying to decide. I guess I'll leave this in your hands, Amber, because like you this is your family's estate. Would they have like separate baths, or would it be like a big communal bath? Because I can see either way.
I think I've kind of in my mind based this off of like an English estate, so I'm gonna say separate baths.
Oh, so like an English great house, you mean?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Okay, yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's what I thought too.
So there's no like running hot water or anything, but there's separate baths and stuff for it. Okay. So you all retire to your separate rooms, and you have it's objectively it's not the best bath you've ever had, but it's the best bath you've ever had. Like
Right.
you've been in hell for a month. You're just so glad to feel hot water that's not going to
I know,
boil
right?
your
It's like,
skin off.
So I think Ember's been making a bunch of big talk about how he's not going to fall asleep, but he falls asleep in the bath.
Oh.
I have this image in my head of Escher coming in. It's like, is it my oh? And he sees you and he's like, I'll take a bath somewhere else.
Maybe make sure he doesn't drown first.
Yeah, he
right.
he maybe like ties a little sheet around your chin and like attaches it to a lamppost or something. He's like, there you go. Don't drown. All right. So you all have a bath. You all have a long rest. It is so good. It's so good.
It is so good.
You feel fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sort of.
Well,
Yeah.
physically
About
great.
as great as you can feel under the circumstances.
Honestly, I think when Ember wakes up, I mean, one, he's now in ice cold water, so that's not great.
Yeah. I think if they don't have running water, then they probably have it's warmed with fires. So I feel like probably not the servants. Like the servants wouldn't barge in on the Lord Germain during a bath, but I feel like Escher probably came in and kept the fires going every now and then.
So it wouldn't be ice cold when you woke up, and also don't drown.
Vasha would have
can
helped
remember you
Escher
told me
get him out if he needed to.
No, Escher's like, you do not wake him. You do not wake him.
No, it's fine.
I can see that scene happening. You don't wake him. He needs this.
But so when Ember wakes up, I think he's like, I don't know, it's that whole thing, like whenever you like lost something or lost somebody and you wake up the next morning and you kind of hope that it like you don't remember it for a second. And so he wakes up and he's like, I don't know, he like reaches out for like the comforting presence of his god and it's not there. And it like immediately hurts, like he doesn't know what to do, so he has to like struggle with that. And so he's doing better, but there's still like, it feels like there's like a permanent empty hole inside of him.
That's sad.
Poor baby.
So he gets dressed and he puts on his best Lathander armor.
Oh.
I feel like Escher is probably reading, I guess. Yeah, he'd probably be reading. He's kind of a nerd now. I mean, he was always a nerd, but now he's like
yeah, let's not lie.
he's an extra nerd.
Now he's not a vampire nerd.
Yeah.
Right.
He's in there's a little armchair by the window and he looks up when you exit and he's like, "Hey, sleepyhead."
And he looks at him and he goes, "Do you not just feel empty?"
No, yeah, it's a crushing weight of emptiness inside of me.
You're just doing a really good job faking it, so I just wasn't sure.
He gives you like a really a way too big smile and a thumbs up, like fake it till you make it. We're dead inside. Yay!
Out of character, Escher had a very long time to figure out how to fake everything around Strahd.
Don't say that.
I'm sorry, but I wasn't even talking that. But like, just
Beyonce.
Escher closes the book in his lap and he says, "Not to detract from the said crushing emptiness inside of us, but we should probably tell your mom at some point that we're engaged."
Ember actually looks up and he goes, "Oh God, that is good news."
It is, like, objectively, it's very good news, but
he looks at him and he goes, "Thank you." And he gives him a big kiss and he's like, "I really needed that this morning."
you're welcome then, I guess.
He goes,
you can tell Ember. You can tell
right
Escher
now.
doesn't know what he's done. Like, you're welcome.
Like, okay.
He's like, and so Ember looks really excited. Oh God, now I'm doing it. Ember looks really excited and he goes, "Let's go tell her right now." And he likes pulling him out of the chair.
She's like, "Oh, okay,
Like
this
6 in the
okay."
morning.
All right. We might as well stick with this. Get all of the Ember-related plot lines out of the way.
Wait. So is the cellar door still locked?
You do not have occasion to check, but you also have not heard anything.
I guess you know what. I guess
Sasha's been sitting outside of it for most of the night.
I'll let you have that plot line. Okay, and Ember's really excited because he just remembered and he's like using it to fill the hole in his heart. So
Yeah.
So Escher's just kind of pulled along.
yeah, he's like rushing downstairs and he's kind of like bouncing like a puppy.
So Ember, you bodily drag Escher down the stairs. You check on the cellar door. The chair is still under the handle. And you find your mother in her favorite sitting room, and Vasha is with her. And it looks like they just sat down for tea.
Ember's like, "Mother," and he pulls Escher into the room with him.
And she's like, okay, this is happening.
He goes, "We have some great news," and he's grinning really big.
Aww.
And he has his ring, I think, on a necklace because obviously it was not going on his finger.
And he was too proud to ask Vasha to change the size.
Definitely was. Actually, I don't think he ever knew. Like, I think he didn't even realize. Like, it didn't even dawn on him why Escher's got changed in the first place. He's not like he's way too self-absorbed for that. So,
So you
don't think about it.
here's how I think this works. You burst in and you say, "Mother, I have great news," and she says, "Oh, I'm so happy for you!" Like she immediately knows.
He stops.
Well,
What?
So, I'm so happy for you, oh my sweet darling. And she stands up and she flutters over to you. She's like, "Oh, my big boy
Why-
growing up," and
why-
she hugs you.
Are you happy because we're
Because you're engaged.
Because we're engaged.
Yes.
Damn it.
You're like, I wanted to say it to you first.
She says, "Oh,
Ember,
I'm
she's
sorry.
your mother.
I'm sorry. Did you want? I can go back to the chair. Do you want me to go back to the chair?"
Yes.
She's like, "Okay." And she sits back down and she holds her tea and she says, "What is it, Ember?"
Ember's like, "Wait a minute," and he's like, "Escher, come with me." And he pulls him back outside again.
And she's like, "Oh my god."
This is hilarious.
Vasha's stifling giggles.
And she's like, "This really isn't necessary. She clearly already knows."
It is. Shut up.
He's like, let me just say it.
Don't ruin this for me.
Okay.
Don't ruin. I only have one thing left. He pulls him by the hand and he goes, "Mother, I have great news."
And she's still holding the cup. She's like, What is it, Ember? What is it, Ember?" Like she just said it and she's like,
And then Ember now, like, he looks at her and goes, I don't know what to say. Okay, yeah, we're engaged. You know that. Okay.
she immediately stands up again. She's like, "Oh, I'm so happy for you!" And she rushes forward and she hugs both Ember and Escher so tight. It's like, "Oh, we'll have the wedding in the spires in the morning, and we'll have to make orders for all of the gold clovers from all around. Oh, it's gonna cost so much money, but it's fine.
Ember
It'll be
Ember
fine."
has her arm, and they're like, and he's like, "Yes, and the flowers. Let's talk about the flowers."
And
I'm
she
thinking
says,
about using the rutabaga.
She says, "Oh, Ember, dear, can you write a letter to the florist? Not the bad one, the good one. You know the one I mean? The one in Neverwinter."
Obviously, of course, I'm going to write a letter to the good florist. But I'm also thinking that I'm like, so I'm thinking maybe a summer.
And a caterer. We're gonna need a caterer. Which
Yeah,
one?
that's true.
It's like in this matter, I want Escher's opinion because you have very bad taste in food. So, Escher, I want you to go write a letter to the caterer. And Ember, can you make sure you get the good florist? And we need, let's be on the safe side and say 80 bouquets of gold clover.
That sounds right to me. That does sound right. Have you seen my ring? He pulls out his ring.
She says, "It's very small." And Escher's like, "Yeah, it was all I had. We were in hell."
Gosh,
She says,
like, oh,
"Well, I'm sure we can get it resized. It's fine."
I can do that.
yeah.
Escher's like, "Yeah, I was trying to tell you, babe. You kind of stormed off, but Vasha can." And he holds up his own hand, and now your family signet ring fits nicely on his ring finger.
Ember looks like shocked, and he's like, "How long is that?"
Just ask, Vasha, can you please?
Yes.
So Vasha walks over and uses the Earth Shaper.
Yeah, you broke up a bit there. I don't know
Oh.
if it's on my end or your end or what's
Yeah,
going on.
I also didn't hear anything. It's like,
So Vasha walks over and uses the Earth Shaper.
Yep.
So you see Vasha touch the blue pendant on his neck, or on their neck, sorry, and you.
It's okay.
The ring is actually very nice, Vasha. Now that you can see it up close, it's small and platinum. It's got roses engraved around it.
Mm-hmm.
And because it is magic, you are able to preserve the form of the roses as it expands to fit Ember's meaty sword swinging hand.
big Hulk smashing hand.
Ember looks at his ring, and he's like really sad. He's like tearing up, and he gives you Vasha like a huge hug.
Ow, ow, ribs.
And he's like, thank you, so you don't know what
Ow, I can't breathe.
You're crushing them, babe.
Oh, I'm sorry. He puts Vasha down. He definitely had
welcome.
like, picked you up. Like,
Yeah, no, it's okay. I know I'm tiny.
And Mama Tremaine is like, "I am absolutely serious about the florist." And he says, "Amber, I'm gonna have you write the letter because, long story short, the florist
breaking
might
up
be mad
again.
at me. I don't want to get into it. We had a disagreement over holly. Listen, it's not important. You reach out to the florist. Escher, you reach out to the caterer, and then I'll think of... I have to find a good bard. And she sits back down again. Like, she's already in just, like, you know, Mother of the Grim mode. She's like, yes, we're gonna need...
Ember turns to Escher and he, like, stage whispers. He's like, I knew she'd like this. She's so good at this.
She's like, I mean, yeah, clearly. And Escher goes out to get, to go send a letter to the caterer, apparently.
Ember goes and follows him, like, he's gonna go right to the florist right now.
He's just gonna leave immediately.
Yes.
And now
Ember's like, look, he's like, Harry, he's like, we have so much to do. I didn't even think about how much we have to do. And he, like, goes and runs out of the room.
Okay.
Mama Tremaine turns to you, Vasha, and she says, I saw it coming.
Everyone saw it coming a mile away.
Except for them, apparently.
Yeah.
Anyway, dear, and she kind of adds a little bit of sugar to your tea, and she sits back. What did you want to talk to me about?
It's not going to be good after that news.
She says, you just came back from hell, sweetheart, and I don't expect it to be good news.
The news is a bit older than that. We got our memories back from the Magus Tower that we'd lost to the Mind Flayer.
She thinks about it for a moment, because that was quite a while ago now. And she says, oh, yes, I remember that. You touched the Eye of Prophecy, right?
Yeah. Daven is involved in what happened to Kostya.
What?
I don't know how, but he arranged or was somehow involved. He didn't stop what happened. He was there.
What do you mean he was there?
He was outside. He watched it happen.
She doesn't react immediately, and that doesn't surprise you. If there is one pillar of Lady Tremaine's personality that you know is that she is a mother to her core.
Yeah.
And it is almost inconceivable to her that one of her children would do something like that. And she says, I'm sure it was just a misunderstanding. He's never been very brave. I'm sure he just... And she kind of drifts off.
He was intending to run this morning.
What?
Just... Escher knew. We saw it in his eyes. He was going to run. He saw that I knew.
She puts down her teacup. The china clinks delicately against the saucer, and she says, "This is. I'm sure there's a rational explanation to all of this. You must understand, Vasha. My Daven, I know he is flawed, but he's not a murderer."
I don't know how he's involved, but he didn't stop it either.
There's a big difference between instigating and failing to stop.
I know.
She kind of sits back in her chair.
But
you can tell she's absolutely lost her appetite.
Yeah. He's been strange around me ever since we came back. He's
been strange around you since the day you met him. Since the day you and Kostya. And she kind of covers her mouth with one hand. He never approved, but that was fine. He didn't need to approve. Kostya wasn't going to inherit anything. He was just bitter.
They'd fought that morning. I don't know what about, but I know that they fought. Kostya told me.
She says, I don't want to speculate on this any further, Vasha. We need to talk to him. We need to get to the bottom of this. That's a good question. Does anyone have Zone of Truth? And I actually... So, Ember and Escher can no longer cast spells. However, Ember, you still have the Hammer of Heavens.
Oh.
You can cast spells through the Hammer of Heavens.
That's true.
So you'd have to give up...
Yeah, similar to how Escher used his to heal everybody.
Yes.
Yep, I do have Zone of Truth.
So you'd have to
Ooh.
give up some charges, but you could cast Zone of Truth.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Ember's definitely willing to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, probably not right now, as he's frantically, like, probably
It's true.
dead ass
I am
running into
forest.
Neverwinter to find the
Yeah.
forest. And like you can see Mama Tremaine like oh, he's probably already halfway sprinted to Neverwinter by now. She says, "Is that why there's a chair in front of the root cellar?"
Yes. Yes. Please don't go in there.
She says, "I can't. It's already been several hours. Regardless of what he's done, he's still my son. I'll keep him. I'll take him to his room and I'll keep him there. You have my word."
And everybody else is gone. Yay. So I'm making this decision on my own. Yeah, I've felt really guilty. Like, I don't like this idea.
And it is worth noting that Lady Tremaine is definitely a mother before she's anything else, but you've also never had cause to doubt her integrity.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, I'm not doubting her at all. I'm doubting David
Right,
and what he
David.
would do to get away.
She's a level 8 paladin and he's a level 5 ranger.
Yeah.
That's also worth noting. If she needed to, she could absolutely wallop him.
And she has the mama card. Okay.
She reaches out and she puts a hand in your hair and she says, "This is going to be hard.
It's always been hard.
Now it's going to be more hard." And she says, "Avasha, whatever answers we get from this, I want you to brace yourself for the fact that it's not going to stop the hurting."
I'm more than aware of that. I've lived with vengeance and I've seen what it does. I know.
She nods and she leans over and she hugs you.
I hug her back.
Oh.
And since we have to do the Daven thing after Ember finishes sprinting to Neverwinter, let's switch to Baku. So Baku, it has now been a day, and Rugen is still outside. Like, he gave you a pretty firm deadline of a day, and then you sort of just ignored it.
Right. So Baku was like gonna be like, "Hey guys," and then like sees Ember just like sprint past them. It's like, oh, okay.
Ember's like, gotta run at Flower Store.
And I imagine Ember sprints directly past
like, a florist, and they're like,
I imagine Ember sprints directly past Rugen, like sprinting about florists.
And then Baku's like, "The floor, okay, interesting. Is anybody else still here?"
Vasha currently, I imagine this is taking place contemporaneously to Vasha's discussion with Lady Tremaine.
Yeah, so like they go downstairs and like poke their head around like
Escher's writing a letter to a caterer. Not the most urgent thing in the world.
Not the most urgent thing. So Baku's like, "Oh, what was that all about? Why is he running in mud about forests?"
Escher looks up and he says, "Oh, we're in wedding planning mode apparently."
Oh, right.
Yeah, it caught me by surprise too.
Baku sort of like scratches the back of their neck, like, "Oh, not to ruin the bad mood or anything." But
No, please ruin the bad mood. This is a lot.
Asher's like, "Oh my god, please." Yeah, there is still the issue of my kin, and they like sort of say the word kin like there's air quotes there.
He sets his I don't have pens in Fantasyland. Quill. He sets his
Totally have pens.
full of fountain pens maybe, but not like pens.
Yeah.
He sets his writing instrument down. And he says, "Oh, yeah, I mean, in the chaos I almost forgot. It's your mother, right?"
Yeah, so this Like, is Vasha and Lady Tremaine are still there, or are they just running around doing?
Vasha and Lady, this is taking place at the same time as the conversation between Vasha and Lady Tremaine that we just
Okay,
had.
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
we are in a different room.
Yeah.
They're a different room. Okay.
Yeah,
so...
they went into like an office. We're still in the sitting room.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, so Baku's like, I intended to tell everyone, but he gave me the deadline of 1 day before I had to immediately leave and save our mother because my brothers and my clan are absolutely useless when it comes to magic. They're fighters, not sorcerers.
Escher is like, well, not for nothing, but I'm pretty sure if needed be, we could take him. Like, if he starts getting, if he becomes a problem, I'm pretty sure we can handle it. It's really more about what you want to do, Baku. Do you want to go, and if so, how soon?
Baku, like, sort of grins at the thought of, like, Escher and Ember and Basha and, like, everyone, like, trying to take their brother.
Like, it's actually sort of amusing to think about because, it's, like, physically, Escher is, like, a fourth of the size of Rugen, but you've also seen Escher fight, and,
right, exactly.
Escher could absolutely stomp Rugen.
It's like, yes, I've seen him fight against gods. Oh, to see him fight against my brother, that would be delightful. They just kind of smile at that and they're like, it feels like the timing is wrong, but his timing is always wrong because his timing is the only timing that matters.
Yeah, I know. I a long time ago, I had a sibling like that too. And he says, it's up to you, Baku. I mean, if you want us to go, then absolutely we'll go.
Baku, like, sort of, like, sighs and then also, like, is pacing back and forth. And it's like, I can't help but think that perhaps this is related. Just the timing. He could have sought me out at any time, but he chose now. After everything that's happened, I don't understand.
Escher says there might be a reasonable explanation. Maybe right now is as soon as he could find you.
Baku just sort of, like, gives a laugh. My clan especially, but Rugen, most out of all of my family, hates other races and thinks the Dragonborn are the most perfect and the best and would never seek outside help. The fact that he left means that it is serious.
Well, maybe he doesn't see you as outside help. Maybe that's why he was willing to come here.
Yes, that's what I mean. He does see me. I am family to him, and the fact that he left to go find me means that it is important, but I don't know. I'm also worried about other things. What if other things come find us? I have this sense of unease.
We've all got a sense of unease, I think, Baku.
Yeah. Exactly.
He says, it's completely up to you. I don't think there's anyone here who would tell you that we shouldn't prioritize your mother. Like, even if you do have a very complicated relationship with her, and I'm sure you do, she's still your mother, and if you ask us for help, we'll help you. It's like, listen, we're not going to have this wedding tomorrow. Like, apparently it's going to take 800 years to plan.
Yes, we are!
You're a Neverwinter, shut up.
He's sprinting to Neverwinter. He says, this wedding isn't going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take ages to plan, and, we might as well help you. It's important. It's your family. Do you want to talk to him, get a little more information out of him? I can come with you.
That sounds like a good idea. I haven't seen him or...
Oh, I've been looking out the window. Ember and I, our room is right at the front, and I looked out every couple hours, and he was just always there. He sulks a lot.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Baku sort of like trying to suppress like a smile, like that is his entire personality is sulking.
Very, very sulky boy. So yeah, you wanna talk to him? We can go out now. I wasn't doing anything super important and kind of slides the letter away.
This is like, this letter's not important. Baku is like, that would be most helpful, although he is extremely racist, so I hope you're prepared for that.
I spent 50 years as a vampire, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. Great. So, let us go and find out more information, I suppose.
He stands up and he puts on his overcloak. By now I imagine it is probably let's go ahead and say that it's late fall, early winter. So it's getting kind of chilly, even though it is called Neverwinter. But ironically, there is a lot of winter in Neverwinter. The name Neverwinter is it's more of a metaphor. You know, like it will never be winter on this empire. So it's metaphorical, and so it is quite cold. And Escher grabs his overcloak and he follows you out the door, Baku, at a respectful distance, because he wants you to be the first one to approach in case Rugen is a little more temperamental than usual. And he is still in his little camp area. He is disassembling the tent when he sees you coming, and he says, "Finally."
Baku approaches and is like, "Before I go, I have questions."
I told you all you need to know. Why do you insist on questioning me all the time?
Baku, just glosses over that question. It's like, I have brought my friend Escher. Perhaps you would like to meet him.
No.
I didn't think so. It's fine. He's, also
Are we
quite
leaving
powerful.
or aren't we leaving?
No. We're not leaving until I need to know the specifics.
He gets really incensed. Why aren't we leaving?
Because I don't know all that I need to know. You said that Mother was in danger, but you didn't say when you last saw her, or why you think it's magical, or anything that I need to help you.
He gets very, very angry. He says, "Why do the details matter? I come here and tell you that your mother is in danger, that she's in a cave protected by some sort of weird magic, and you give me the 10th degree? Why? Your mother is in danger. Isn't that enough for you?"
It's because she's my mother. And also, we are all in danger. We just came back from a lot of danger.
He is still very angry, and he was disassembling the tent, and he was pulling one of the bars out, and it was in his hand, and he throws it at the ground, and he says, "Why do you always choose the humans over us?"
Baku, kind of expected this question would...
You chose the humans when you ran away to your little fancy magic school, and you're choosing them again right now, even when your mother is in danger.
Baku's like, I never chose humans. I just chose to leave the clan.
And that little quip
you.
about Bahamut, and he kind of steps forward, and Escher just immediately slots himself in between, and he's like, "Hi, I don't think we've met. My name is Escher Linz," and he holds out a hand. And Rugen doesn't take the hand, and he says,
"Of course not.
Get out of the way." He says, "No, I don't think so. Listen, I care about you only as far as you are a brother to my friend. If you get any angrier, I am going to stop caring about that. Do you follow me? Are you picking up what I'm putting down?" And Rugen says, "You don't intimidate me." He says, "Good."
Baku just has a claw in front of their mouth and is just
Escher saying it is good that he does not intimidate him intimidates Rugen. Why is it good that you don't intimidate me? And he takes a half step back and he says, "Listen, we really don't have time for all of the questioning. I've wasted enough time here. I can explain on the way if you insist, but we need to go."
Baku is like, "Where is Ran? Where is our other brother? Why did he not go with you?"
"He's at the cave. He was the one that sent me back to get you against my objections."
I see. Baku's like, "Well, I would like to leave immediately. However, if I go with you, I'm bringing my entire party with me. All of my friends will go as well."
He growls, "Why? They don't care about dragons."
"Oh, they care about me. You're right. They don't care about you, but they care about what's important to me."
Rugen growls loudly. "You always were insolent."
I don't believe I was. I believe that that's something I learned in magic school.
He kicks what remains of his tent. When? When can we leave?
Whenever Ember gets back, he kind of ran. There's a wedding that they're planning. This is
What the
Esther,
hell's
his
a
fiancé.
wedding?
Oh, like when two people, apparently humans do this thing when they love each other. I
That
don't know what
sounds
love is.
dumb.
It is really dumb. I agree. That's really
It's just
weird
like,
to
what the hell? I'm standing right here, Baku.
say. Baku's like, sorry, wedding's weird. Weird human thing.
It's just like, oh, never mind. He says, fine, I'll be here. I'm always here, waiting for you. And he kind of storms and he sits back down and folds his arms over his chest like a big pouty baby.
Baku's like, oh, and you just took your tent down. Now you have to put it back up.
Escher's like, he kind of reluctantly leans over to you, Baku. He's like, if we asked Lady Tremaine, she'd probably let him stay inside. I mean, but we also don't have to ask Lady Tremaine.
Baku sort of stayed whispers back, and it's like, do we really want him inside though?
I mean, I don't know. It's up to you, honestly.
Well, okay. If you want to come inside, I'm sure it'd be fine. Baku says.
I don't want to come inside. And Escher's like, well, that's one ethical conundrum resolved. Baku, you want to get some tea?
That sounds great. Let's go check on my rabbits too.
Yeah, the rabbits. We haven't seen them in ages.
Funny.
And they just leave, just chittering happily.
Right, and then of course Rugen's probably like, ew, friendship with a human.
So around the time Ember finally comes back, probably with at least 5 sample bouquets. Your time in Neverwinter, like the moment you told the florist that there was going to be a Tremaine wedding, like their eyes lit up because this is the money pot,
They're like, yes.
Anytime the Tremaines have a wedding, it's huge because they're like a noble family from right around Neverwinter. And everyone gets excited about it, and like word spreads like wildfire the moment you burst into the florist, and suddenly all of Neverwinter is talking about, oh my god, the wedding! There's gonna be a Tremaine wedding! And everyone is extremely hyped.
They're like, so much money. Think of all the money.
And you return with 18 sample bouquets to show to Lady Tremaine.
Not helped matters. Like he's definitely promising large amounts of money to every time he goes into a store, he's like the most expensive thing. He's like, that will be at my wedding.
Of course.
So eventually you do come back from Neverwinter with all your stupid samples and whatnot. And it's so awkward to carry because the bouquets especially are really big. Like they're going to be centerpieces or whatever, and each one weighs 2 pounds. And 2 pounds on its own is fine, but you've got 10 of them. And so it's very awkward, and you finally get home, and when you do, you see all of it's your party and your mother. They're all clustered at the top of the stairs, right outside Davin's room. And you realize,
okay, guys, what do you think of that? And he sees it. He's like, oh.
Lady Tremaine looks down at you and she kind of smiles blandly. She's like, a little later, dear. We should do this first. And she kind of motions you up.
He drops unceremoniously. Oh, actually, no, he doesn't. He just spent a lot of money.
He very neatly puts them all down. And you can see, Escher, despite himself, was kind of, craning his neck to look at the bouquets better. And, as you come up the stairs, he's like, I like the gold one best.
Aww.
Oh, me too. Okay, he pulls out his hammer. He pulls out his hammer, but not, threatening. Obviously, just needs it to spell. And have we opened the door yet?
You have not, no. Who wants to do it?
Yeah, Ember just looks at Basha and says, I'm ready.
Okay.
Whenever you are.
Are you ready, Basha? Escher asks.
Not really, but when have I ever been?
He kind of gives you a one-armed hug and in support.
I open the door.
You open the door. Davin is sitting by the window, and the moment the door opens, he heard muffled voices on the other side of it, and he had a feeling something that she was gonna drop. And he turns around, and he sees you all enter, and he holds up his hand and he says, "Before we do anything."
So Ember is casting Stone of Truth. He
All
he
right.
holds his hand up and.
What is your spell save DC, Ember?
Oh, good question. The
Actually,
thing I
no.
don't-
I'm sorry. You're casting it through the hammer, so the DC.
Yes.
The DC is 18. And he has to make a whiz save, I believe it is.
It is a charisma save.
The charisma save. His charisma is -1.
Nobody could have told you that.
I know, right? Shocking.
Oh my god,
Oh
Wow.
my god.
that
And
was a
he's-
nat 20.
Oh my god.
That sucks.
What?
Oh my
David,
god.
you slimy bastard.
Really?
Silver-tongued bastard.
So you cast Zone of Truth, and the nature of the spell, Ember, you can tell that he has beat the spell save to see that he is not affected. But when he sees that you cast it, he looks kind of nervous, and he says, "Listen, there's no need for that."
Oh, I
just
think
kind of
there is.
cant my head at him.
He says,
Rosie,
"Listen,
how many times can I try to cast it?
you can cast it as many times as you have charges. What spell level is Zone of Truth?"
It's just 2, so I've got 6 charges and
Zone of
I
Truth is
think
it is a second level spell.
yeah.
So you can cast it up to 3 times.
Sweet, I'm gonna try it again.
I was gonna say, like, if Baku's there, I have detect thoughts, but I don't know if Baku's there.
Oh, Baku's there. Yeah,
the
everyone's
whole
there.
party is there.
Everyone's here. Okay, great. The whole party is like, yo,
And
what's
Detect
going on
Thoughts
with
is
you? Dude?
another save that he has to make.
Yeah.
So you dispel the first Zone of Truth right as David is trying, like, listen, there's no need for, and then you cast Zone of Truth again.
And he's like,
Eh.
Another 20.
All right, a 13 is not good enough. The first time he was so surprised he managed to worm his way out of it, but the second one you can tell it takes. And he looks very, very nervous all of a sudden. And he keeps his mouth shut.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the thing. It doesn't compel them to talk. It just makes them say the truth.
It sure
Ember
does.
looks like it would be in your best interests, brother, to open up in this particular instance.
He does not say anything.
Ember looks at his mother.
Lady Tremaine, who has a pretty good insight score of her own, knows that the silence is probably the worst thing that he could be doing right now.
Yeah.
And you can tell her heart is just sinking because she's starting to realize that he is hiding something from her.
Ember
What did
turns
you
to
do?
Vasha and he goes, Vasha, do you want to take the lead on this or do you want me?
What did you do, David?
Oh, okay.
What happened that night?
He says, well, first of all, he like struggles, like you can tell he really doesn't want to answer. And there's like not a compulsion to answer, but he wants to answer without incriminating himself clearly.
Yeah.
And he kind of struggles through his words and he says, I don't know exactly.
My eyes narrow. Tell me more about that, because that's not acceptable. He was your younger brother.
I know what Kostya was. And he suddenly gets very angry, very defensive. I don't need you to preach to me about what Kostya was.
Clearly you do, because you couldn't fucking step in to save him.
Save
so what
him?
happened?
Save him? He was stronger than you ever were. I thought when I saw that beast, I don't even know what it was. When I saw it ripping apart all those people, I thought for sure if anyone was going to come out of it, it would be him. I didn't expect it to be you.
Oh,
I deck him.
Roll to hit, my sweet boy.
it's like I only wanted to kill
It's
you,
plus your
man.
strength mod for an unarmed strike.
Yep.
Didn't want
Yeah.
my bro to die. I just wanted you to die.
Oh.
He's also because he's not armed, not armored rather.
Yeah.
So it doesn't do any damage, but you do you hit him, but it doesn't do damage.
Yeah.
And he
It
kind
still
of
hurts.
he kind of grits his teeth, and he's like at this point he's mad, and he's like he made the worst mistake of his life with you, and I had to sit there and I had to watch it happen. Of course, I just stood there. I thought he was gonna get out.
Baku
You
just sort
had-
of puts a hand on Vasha, like, do you want me to try?
I just like shrug that right off.
Hmm.
You doesn't matter how strong he was. You could have had the strength of Lathander himself and not. Nothing is ever that clean in a fight. You know that.
He doesn't say anything, but he is still livid. It is at this point that Lady Tremaine speaks up and she says, Daven. And the anger kind of breaks on Daven's face, and he looks past you, Vasha, and he looks at his mother, and Lady Tremaine is like, there are just silent tears rolling down her face, and she says, how could you? She says, Mother, don't you understand? He was gonna marry them. Look at them. He would disgrace our family if he married them. And she says, and that was a good enough reason to stand by while a monster ripped apart everyone in the party, in the hunting party? And Daven doesn't say anything. And Lady Tremaine stalks forward and she grabs him by the shoulders and she says, answer me! But he doesn't.
Yeah.
And his head is down.
Ember's just watching all of this appalled. Like, he doesn't know what to say.
When Daven doesn't answer, she sort of, her grip on his shoulders just drops. And she says, Daven, with my status as the Lady Regent of the Tremaine Estate, I hereby disinherit you.
Ember looks up sharply and is like, takes a step back.
And that's when she turns around to you, Ember, and she says, Ember, I know you never expected this, but under the circumstances.
Are you sure?
She says, your brother stood by and let the murder of Kostya just happen. There's no coming back from that. We are a family that worships Lathander. We are supposed to intervene on the behalf of those who need help. And she looks back at Daven as she's speaking, and Daven looks absolutely contrite, like he can't even lift his head to look at his mother in the eyes. And she says, Ember, the estate is yours now. And she leaves the room.
Ember looks at David and he goes, this isn't what I wanted. And he walks out.
Asher's like, you fucked up, boy. Wow, you fucked up. And then he just leaves. Unbelievable fuck up as he's walking down the hallway.
Baku sort of stays behind with Vasha, like, watching them.
Just in case Vasha attacks Daven.
Vasha very deliberately left most of their weapons behind.
Like, you good? Can we get? Should I leave you too? Is that a good?
I will never forgive you for this.
Daven looks up, and what little is left of his dignity, he says, I'll never forgive you for taking my brother from me.
Baku just sort of like rolls their eyes, and I'm like, you did, and says, no, you're the one that took him.
That lands. You can tell that hit its intended mark precisely.
Baku looks to Vasha.
I'm just like shaking with rage. I storm out. I can't look at him anymore.
And then Baku just like, glares at Daven and follows after them.
All right. Let's leave it there for tonight.
God.
Wow, you guys.
Lots of intense family drama all around.
Oh, the drama. I love it.
Most drama.
Veteran
I
of Korean
suspected
dramas.
that.